What do they think of the fact that we've capped insulin prices at $35 a month? What about giving Medicare the power to negotiate? President Biden likes to say, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. Whether it's raising real wages, keeping the job market tight, bringing down inflation, lowering costs of gas, of groceries, what do we hear from the other side? Tax cuts for rich people, giveaways to big pharma.
A Fox News host brought one of Biden's economic advisors on her show, only to quickly regret her decision as her lies got shut down in real time to her face. I have a few clips here we're going to look at of the host being left absolutely speechless, but I do first want to preface this by saying I understand that economic struggles are real and plenty of people are going through them right now, but this conversation is about assessing the metrics used to decide if an economy is strong or not, and also being honest about what part of that the president himself can really control. And when you do that, you can see that our economy is actually really strong right now. You can see if you look at like the rate of inflation, for instance, America is the lowest of all comparable countries in the G7. It's not just something you can snap away, but what he can control, he's done good on, and a lot of it is outside of his control. But here's the first clip that I wanted to look at. Watch how quick this Fox host manages to get her lies absolutely shut down.
I know you're going to want to paint a rosy picture, but for most people, their experience is not good.
Well, I want to try to paint a realistic picture that's nuanced, that takes into account everything you just said, but also reflects not just what people are saying, which we have to listen to. They are the best arbiters of their economic conditions, but also what they're doing. So we're just coming out of a Black Friday that is already setting records for online buying, between 10 and 16 billion for Black Friday online. We are looking at consumer spending that's been driving this economy forward, posting growth rates that are north of 5%. We have an unemployment rate that's been below 4% for 21 months. Now, what that means, in a period where inflation has come down by 2/3, it peaked at 9%, it's now 3.2.
And wages have not kept up.
So real wages have grown. Real wages, in other words, wages are beating prices now. So is disposable income, by the way.
He's exactly right here. Consumer spending on Black Friday was at a record high $9.8 billion, up almost 8% from the previous year, not only showing that people have extra income to spend, but they do more so from the previous year. Wages have finally outgrown the rate of inflation, and we're one of the few countries that can say that right now. And in many sectors, they never even lost that lead. Biden was able to keep these main sectors strong to drive our economy along with this consumer spending that we've seen. And it's important to keep in mind the crisis state of economy that was America when Joe Biden took office, where unemployment was at a record high, inflation was high, businesses were closing, GDP was down, we had lost jobs for the first time in 50 years under Trump. But despite all of this and all this pandemic and the COVID and the economy and all this mess that Joe Biden was handed, he managed to navigate it well, rolling out an effective vaccine. That's something that Trump was unable to do. He quickly passed the American Rescue Plan, which aided Americans in a multitude of ways, from cutting child poverty in half to cutting insulin prices and capping them and putting money directly in Americans' hands who need it the most. And now, by all metrics, when we look, we are having a solid economy. Let's go on with this Fox News interview, because it honestly gets even worse for the host.
What do they think of the fact that we've capped insulin prices at $35 a month? What about giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower drug prices? What about tax incentives for manufacturing jobs? What about capping out-of-pocket prescription drug costs? President Biden likes to say, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. So I just took you through 5 minutes of everything we're doing to try to help precisely that person and everybody like her, whether it's raising real wages, keeping the job market tight, bringing down inflation, lowering costs of gas, of groceries. What do we hear from the other side? Tax cuts for rich people, giveaways to big pharma, helping wealthy tax cheats evade taxes to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. That's who they're fighting for.
Beautifully spelled out. Clearly, there is no rebuttal here. Biden has legislated everything in his power to make things easier for the everyday people. Sure, he means tested student loan relief instead of just passing it, which was in his power to do, and that was a mistake because it allowed it to be blocked, but it's something he hasn't given up on trying to do. And outside of that, he's capped insulin, capped medicine costs. He's added Medicare incentive to add millions more to be able to get access to health treatment, tax incentives for Americans to be hired for manufacturing jobs, something that Trump did away from, and is versus the alternative of Trump trying to cut Social Security and Medicare. He enabled massive tax cuts for the rich that would have had the middle class paying more in taxes by 2028 and massively cut our revenue to kickstart the inflation that we're seeing nowadays and feeling in real time. The right wants you to compare Biden to this perfect caricature that certainly isn't the Republican Party, especially when you look at the data of it, when Biden is clearly and has now also shown through legislation, we're not just saying, hey, he's going to be better, is the better candidate for the working and middle class people. Republicans are rather mask off about who they favor in that regard. They don't even try to hide it. They just focus their issues on these culture wars and faux problems that don't really exist in hopes to trigger an emotional response out of you that makes you want to side with them and their super unpopular opinions. But I just wanted to show you these clips because, well, one, great to see Fox get owned like this. And I mean, Fox invited this guest on probably in hopes to get him with a gotcha. He's just an economist, but he came with the straight facts, shut them down, and did it in every facet. It was amazing to see, and I just wanted to talk about it, Good job, Fox News. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video, because the only way we could become a society is together.